Story 1. Sports betting is a trend among my peers, but those small transactions of $5, $20, and $50 often end up as losses. Occasionally, you might win $200, but it usually costs more to reach that point. It feels like every advertisement I encounter promotes sports betting applications and free plays. Story 2. Subscriptions have replaced one-time purchases with monthly commitments. It feels as though ownership has become increasingly rare. Story 3. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not into that content and act superior. That content is the exact kind of dopamine trigger that will get me hooked, and I would rather just avoid it. Story 4. Anything involving trendy eyebrow shapes reminds me how my older cousins and sister permanently plucked theirs thin. Now, they have to spend time filling them in or getting them microbladed. I'm not falling for that. I'm keeping my brows in the same shape that is flattering for my face. Brooke Shields has had the same eyebrows her whole life, and they work for her. I'll do the same. Story 5. Buying something unattractive just because it's expensive is hard to understand. It is difficult to believe that people genuinely think Louis Vuitton purses with the logo all over them are appealing. Story 6. I refuse to watch videos that include nail tapping on products, which are claimed to be autonomous sensory meridian response. If I wanted to experience ASMR, I would seek out videos specifically for that purpose. The tapping and amplification of every crinkling or crackling sound is extremely annoying. I find it frustrating to watch, even with the sound off, as it seems that many creators simply copy each other with this mindless content. Thank you for reading. Story 7. Installing TikTok and X because I believe there is too much toxicity that I cannot manage. Story 8. I will mention the recent issue because I am frustrated. I dislike those artificial intelligence study pieces that plagiarize Studio Ghibli's work. I refuse to participate, but my sister continues to send pictures of the family to our group chat. Story 9. Either of the two extremes, traveling full-time and taking odd jobs to keep going, which could set me significantly behind everyone else when I finally decide I want a stable life. Working hard during my best years at a job with no enjoyable memories to look back on and no guarantees it will actually lead me somewhere. Story 10. I am not a parent and won't be for at least another 6 to 8 years, but I think gender reveal parties may be dying down. I never understood them. Why couldn't you reveal the gender during the baby shower, especially since by the time women typically have them, they usually know the gender too. In the end, it's their money, and they aren't hurting anyone, so there's that. I was always confused about why it became a separate event from a baby shower. Story 11. Regularly putting my partner down instead of lifting them up is concerning. I understand that some people enjoy teasing their partners, and I appreciate a little of it myself, but sometimes it crosses the line into meanness. I could never be with someone who makes me feel like a burden instead of someone whose presence they appreciate. We should be enhancing each other's lives and communicating that to one another, not insulting each other. Story 12. Well, this one's a bit odd, but Instagram. And you know what? It is frustrating. I can't see tattoo artists' work because I get through 1 or 2 posts and then receive a message to sign up for Instagram to see more. I can't see restaurant menus because I view 1 or 2 posts with their specials and then get prompted to sign up for Instagram to see more. I can't see dogs up for adoption because I look through 1 or 2 posts and then get the same prompt to sign up for Instagram to see more. The number of businesses that depend solely on Instagram for communicating vital information is, frankly, unreasonable. If you want to use it as one venue, that is great. However, relying on it as the only means of communication for menus, specials, hours, art, advertising, and so on is not ideal. Story 13. Fast fashion. I refuse to spend $50 for poor quality, sweatshop clothing that contributes to environmental destruction and ends up polluting an impoverished country after it is discarded. There is no excuse. There are plenty of nice clothing options available, including secondhand and sustainable brands. I prefer cashmere or merino wool over acrylic sweaters, wool and silk over polyester, and 100% cotton over an elastane blend. I choose garments that last for years and come from natural fibers, with high-quality construction. Even if it were not an ethical concern, I would not wear cheaply made synthetic materials. Story 14. Using generative artificial intelligence. especially for mundane tasks like answering emails or writing grocery lists, raises questions about how reliant people have become on technology to think for them. Story 15. Wine Mom. It's wine o'clock, and don't talk to me until I've had my wine. Those cutesy ways of trivializing drinking. Story 16. Cosmetic surgery. I have had people tell me I should get my nose reshaped, but I do not want to participate in that. It is too expensive, and it does not resolve anything for me. Story 17. I truly do not understand Snapchat. I open the application and do not even know what I am looking at. The concept does not make sense to me at all. I have no idea why I would ever use it. Story 18. Crypto. I believe it's hype for individuals to gamble their money, allowing others to take it from them, and then encourage others to lose their money as well. It's advertised as a get-rich-quick scheme, but it's essentially gambling. People should invest in themselves. Story 19. Anything fashion-related is not something I focus on. I don't care about what is currently in season or what someone claims looks good based on a specific styling technique. Story 20. The new trend for women shaping their eyebrows with an upward brush is interesting. I don't dislike it. It just doesn't look good on me and doesn't fit my style. Story 21. Tattoos. I have nothing against people who have them, and some of them look quite cool, but I believe that not having them now places me firmly in a distinct minority that used to be characterized, ironically, by people with tattoos. Story 22. Gifting to streamers or famous individuals can feel unappealing. Even if I appreciate a particular creator, I hesitate to contribute financially to someone who is already wealthy. Story 23. Calling anyone with a positive opinion about anything a glazer is misguided and should stop. Story 24. TikTok. I refuse to download another app designed for endless scrolling. I'm not saying I'm perfect when it comes to social media, but there comes a point when the newest version of something just offers the same features as the old version. What's the point of following every new trend? I have an Instagram, and that's the only scrolling I will allow. I just won't do it. This is how I maintain control and have a healthy relationship with online use. Story 25. Wearing flare jeans. I can work with a straight cut or maybe boot cut, but if my pant cuffs are wider than my entire foot, I feel like I look foolish. Story 26. Voice calls outside of work can be overwhelming. Many of my Discord groups have people hanging out in voice chat. I can't think of anything worse. I won't even answer my phone. Story 27. Vandalizing Teslas or criticizing Tesla owners is prevalent in California, where they are as common as Toyotas and often driven by progressives who care about the environment. This behavior is not meaningful resistance. Instead, it makes the left appear even more unhinged. Story 28. I said 15 years ago that Twitter is a place where people with nothing of value scream into the abyss, and it has only gone downhill since then. I am aware of the irony of posting this on a social media platform, but the entire social media scene can collectively move on. It's a sad day when Reddit is considered the least parasitic option. Story 29. Wall words for decorating. Wow, this room has a stove, a refrigerator, and a sink. I wonder what room I'm in. Thank goodness there's a sign above the door telling me it's the kitchen. Story 30. Receiving an intravenous drip seems extreme to me. It's surprising that someone is so health conscious or hungover that they would want to insert a needle in their arm to obtain nutrients. Perhaps eating a salad occasionally would be a better choice. Story 31. Using ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence. I know some individuals who use it not just for generating images or text, but also to talk to when they feel lonely or need comfort. This concerns me. I understand loneliness, but conversing with a machine designed for validation won't help you develop the skills to connect with real people, which is a genuine long-term solution. Story 32. I am sharing my personal pictures with ChatGPT to help train the AI to create an image of me as a Ghibli character. Story 33. Generating any AI art, especially works based on an artist's style, such as the current Studio Ghibli trend. Story 34. Those elaborate 15-step skincare routines that influencers do are quite puzzling. I have never watched a single video like that, but I work with young kids, and a concerning number of them talk about their skincare routines they have learned from TikTok or Instagram. You're only 7. Why do you need any of that? Story 35. Buying a Stanley. In the same respect, buying multiple Stanleys or any water bottle just to have different colors is unnecessary. One is enough. Story 36. Lip fillers and plumping injections never look natural, and most of the time, they result in an exaggerated appearance. Story 37. Re-releasing old books that are more expensive, with fancy colors and attractive art, is quite costly. Story 38. I hope it gets banned. The last thing the world needs is more social media and short-form video platforms. Story 39. No one looks good with lip filler. I don't care if you think you look natural, we can tell every time. It is much more off-putting than looking at thin lips. I promise you, no one cares about your lips. Story 40. Ghibli trend. As someone who has enjoyed anime and Ghibli movies, I have learned to respect art and the wishes of their creators. The trend itself is positive. Perhaps it is just not the same for those who view it from an artist's perspective. Story 41. 1. Recording myself sharing my business and the business of others to post for strangers around the world to gain engagement. Having a child with a man who hasn't legally committed to me or choosing to sleep with him in the first place. Story 42. I immediately thought of fillers like cosmetic procedures. I think it is strange that all the women look like Bratz doll clones. Story 43. Anything to do with artificial intelligence. I also refuse to update my technology as soon as new products are released. My 2015 laptop is doing fine, so why do I need a new one that costs 3 months of rent, has no ports, is more fragile, and has insufficient memory? What happened to the saying, if it isn't broken, don't fix it? Story 44. This is more than a trend. It is the lifestyle of people engaging in long conversations and relationships primarily through text. People literally spend 3 hours a day texting. I have cut myself off from many connections, dating experiences, and friendships by not texting, but it is quite miserable for me. I cannot stand the fact that anyone can contact you at any time. What is worse is the expectation some people have that you should always respond. I do not want individuals to have round-the-clock access to my time and energy. My friends know that I may not respond to messages for a couple of weeks unless it is something immediate and important. I have missed out on many developing relationships because I do not respond right away, and people often assume I simply don't like them, especially in dating. Honestly, that is fine with me. If someone expects me to constantly be texting them, I would prefer to not have them in my life at all. Texting requires a lot of energy, and I want everyone in my life to understand that just because it is the norm in society now, it does not grant them access to my energy. I respond when I choose to, which may not be for a couple of weeks. Story 45. I studied betting on horse racing so thoroughly that I concluded I did not have enough money or knowledge to proceed. Story 46. Live streaming in public. People get paid to do foolish things, live and face the consequences, such as a punch in the face or arrest. Story 47. Calling things cringe. I don't think it is always malicious. Sometimes you look back on your younger self and find something embarrassing. However, I often see people label any strong emotion, including intense feelings of joy, as cringy. I don't want to discourage people from experiencing life and expressing their feelings. Story 48. Stanley Cups can be practical to have 1 or 2, or maybe even 3. However, some people collect them and end up with dozens. The available accessories for them are surprising. Why are we turning our water bottles into purses? Story 49. Acrylic nails and similar treatments are expensive. I am not going to pay €60 every couple of weeks to get my nails done. Who has the time and money for that? Acrylic nails can be problematic. You can become dependent on them unless you want to end up with very thin nails. No, thank you. Story 50. High-waisted jeans feel uncomfortable, and I cannot force myself to like the look. I hope they go back to fashion obscurity where they belong. Story 51. Using therapy speech as normal terms when someone disagrees with you. If someone is lying, they may be labeled a gaslighter. If there is disagreement about a topic, one might be called a narcissist. Ranting or discussing something that upsets you is often referred to as trauma dumping. Story 52. Saying, you all. I was raised in New York and live in New Jersey. At 49, I am not adopting what has been a Southernism into my vocabulary. It makes me feel as ridiculous as going Canadian and saying about. Story 53. Asking Reddit and social media for name suggestions for my cat, dog, and kids is exciting. I can't imagine what the perfect name would be, but finding it is part of the adventure. Story 54. Flat brim baseball caps. I absolutely dislike the look. I thought it would be a passing trend, but it refuses to go away. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.